Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Dell'Aria's Musical Escapades. My name's Josh Dell'Aria, and happy Independence Day to all you guys who are watching in America. Because of the holiday, I have a very Independence-themed song for you guys this week, so we can celebrate. This song was done by Adam Pope and the Rebel Roots, whom I stumbled across a couple of years ago, and I did not know until now that he was actually featured on Music City Roots several years back. But I think that's kind of a cool attribute for him to have. And when I heard this song of his that I'm about to play for you guys, I'll be honest, I was really bummed that it didn't make the top 20 a couple years back when it came out. It's one of those songs that, I was just like, I can't put this on the top 20. By the way, I do feel that way about a lot of songs, because, again, there's so much great music that comes out every single year, and so much of it deserves to be part of the top 20. But there's only room for 20 songs. And there's usually way more than 20 songs that deserve that spot. So it's really hard because the song is great, it's just not as great as some of the other ones that I have on there. And so that always kind of stinks when I'm like, I want to include this song, but it's just not quite there. But again, it doesn't mean that it's a bad song. It means it's great. I just get disappointed that it doesn't make the top 20. Now, you will notice a couple of things in this song. One, it's very patriotic, and that's obvious. But because we are not a political show, we are a music show, I'm not going to comment on that a whole lot. What I will draw more of your attention to is the musicality of the song, which is also very noticeable in this song. And so I think this is a really good exercise in basically helping to bring out a lot of what should be loud and a lot of what should be quiet, and really figuring out where to mesh those things. So Adam's most recent album, Ain't Over It Yet, which came out a couple years ago, that's basically a collection of his thoughts on September 11th, the day that the planes flew into the Twin Towers in New York City, which I would think most of you guys are old enough to remember. Some of you guys watching might not be, but it's basically, like I said, his recollections and his reflections on where the country is going and that type of thing. This song is the second one on the album where Adam is actually going through the history of America and pointing out a lot of the great accomplishments that the country has had, which is kind of cool. So this song is called The America That I Know.
I just had to turn off my TV. I hear this nation's full of hatred and greed. They say we need to get used to being less than number one. Well, that ain't the country I'm from. Then I go to work and a friend is in tears because her husband of barely 20 years just found out he's got less than a few months to live. You should have seen the folks lining up to give. No, we're not perfect, but we believe still that we are that shining city on the hill. In God we're trusting, and to Him we still go. That's the America that I know. Our independence from a king. We overcame civil war and set slaves free. We've inspired countless dreamers to come to our shores. Hey, we crushed tyranny in 2 world wars. From the depths of the Great Depression arose a mighty empire state building. We put man on the moon, just like we said we would. America's great long as her people are good. We stood together on September 12th. We made promises to better ourselves. We hold the freedom that we ain't letting go. That's the America that I know. we're not perfect, but I believe still that we are that shining city on the hill. We hold to freedom, no, we ain't letting go. That's the America that I know. In God we trust, and to our knees we go. That's the America that I know.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
Amen.
Okay, so I have a couple points to mention here. So biggest positive for Adam, I think, is how he uses his dynamics, as I explained before the song started. And I want to provide a couple of examples of that. And the first one I want to do is right at the start of the song, because the first 20 seconds or so, it's pretty quiet, and then you'll notice the change at second number 21.
I just had to turn off my TV. I hear this nation's full of hatred and greed. They say we need to get used to being less than number one. Well, that ain't the country I'm from.
As you can pretty well tell, Adam is pretty quiet during this sort of pensive period of the song where he's talking about how he just has to turn off his TV. He's really upset at the bad news that's on TV, displayed over and over again. And then when he gets to the part about, that ain't the country I'm from, that's when his mood brightens up, and that's when he gets a little bit louder to be more forceful of that point. Then you'll notice that Adam gets quiet again when he talks about this person who has been given 6 months to live.
Her husband of barely 20 years just found out he's got less than a few months to live. You should have seen the folks lining up to give.
And you'll notice he does this type of thing several times throughout the song. And I think the best example of this is where he changes it in where he's talking about the Great Depression.
From the depths of the Great Depression rose a mighty empire state building. We put man on the moon, just like we said we would. America's great long as her people are good.
Unfortunately, I do have to go into the neg on this one, and for that, we're going to listen to the bridge real quick.
With malice towards none and charity for all, we shall overcome. God will save us from our fall.
See, the one thing that could be construed negatively about this song is that it does use a lot of cliches, and there's a certain way that you want to use cliches. The way that many artists do it is they put it right in the forefront so that they make sure their listeners hear it. So it makes it sound like, hey guys, I'm a cliche! Notice me, here I am! And then they'll repeat it a bunch of times. So every time it's like, hey, here I am again! Hi, I'm a cliche! Hi! As you can probably tell, that's not the best way to use cliches. That Teo Cruz song called Break Your Heart, where the one where he goes, I only want to break your heart 4 times over. That's a good example of what not to do with cliches, because he again puts it right out in the forefront, so you make sure you hear it. And it's just annoying. The way you want to use cliches is you want to hide them with a lot of lyrics that are not cliche, or you want to draw more meaning out of them than they have as cliches on their own. To kind of show you what I mean by this, let me play another song, or at least a snippet of another song, called Decide by Brooke Annabelle, and I'll show you. So, of course, the word goodbye and the phrase I love you, those are both cliches, and so obviously they get used a ton of times. So what Brooke has to do in that example is dig more out of those, and by saying so many right in front of them, it indicates more than what the cliche would normally talk about. So getting back to Adam Pope's bridge here, he obviously fills it with cliches, but he doesn't really draw any more meaning out of them than they would normally have. Now in this instance, since the rest of his song is filled with meaning, Adam can kind of get away with it in this, because the rest of the song is going to actually add meaning to that particular bridge. But normally, especially in a bridge, you wouldn't want to just fill it with cliches, and not put any deeper meaning into those, because the bridge is supposed to be the deepest part of the song where you really make your point. And if you fill it with cliches, it doesn't get your point across very well. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you all for watching. Happy 4th of July to all of you guys. And I do want to say thank you to Adam Pope for letting me use his music as well. Guys, the top 20 is coming as well. So if you have any music that you think deserves a shot at the top 20, or if you know anybody else's music that you think deserves a shot at the top 20, please feel free to let me know. Send me an email, joshdelariasmusicalescapades@gmail.com. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, go make great music.